The Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Want to check out the fastest growing sport in the world? It's right here in Conroe, Texas, and it's roller derby. Conroe Roller Derby is a non-profit recreational league of women and men who want you to come and check out the fast-paced, hard-hitting game of roller derby. The Conroe Cutthroats practice at Rainbow Roller Rink on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. You can find our game schedule and more information on our website, www.conroerollerderby.com.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KCCZ LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show, and we're so happy to be downtown at the Conroe Tower. It's so exciting. If you've never visited the Conroe Tower, well, just come by and say hi to Chris and Connie that's at the reception desk, and they'll tell you, unless you have, we have your blood type and your birth certificate and all that, you're not going to get in here. No, you just, they just got to protect everybody that's in here because these are all the important people. And we're so excited that we get to be in this hall. So anyway, if you want to understand all the goings on of Conroe and what's happening and all of that, tomorrow we're going to talk about that. We're going to say what's going on, events that are happening in Conroe. We're going to talk about the movies, and it's going to be just Richard and I. Oh, boy. And you know how good we get along, and it's so much fun. And so we'll be doing that. Richard, did you know that the Senate has passed changing the daylight savings time to, like, one time? They're not going to do. Yeah. You know that? It's the Congress now. I mean, the representatives, House of Representatives, they're not doing anything about it. It's just sitting there. But we could.
Typical.
But I just can't wait. That would be so much fun, not to have to change all the clocks and.
What a discussion, right? To use all their time.
Yeah, that's true.
To discuss it, and then you're going to get those few representatives who vote against it.
Right. Right.
And of course, it's like, why did you vote against changing days?
It's just, it's not going to hurt anybody. I can't imagine it upsetting anybody's routine, but I'm just so excited about it.
Cindy, it's going to upset somebody. There's always somebody upset by it.
You know what our church used to do? We just ignored it. We stayed on the same time, and then we had the same.
Yeah, but that causes a lot of problems.
No, it was great. Everybody loved that.
No, really, who you feel bad for is the programmer with current tech that automatically updates your stuff.
Yeah.
Now he's out of a job. So he doesn't have to keep up to it. He's going to call his congressman and be like, yo, you got to vote against this. I'll lose my job. I'm the one that updates your phone. That's my job.
I'm telling you. Those people, boo-hoo. But anyway, so today I've got a very exciting guest, and so many of you have already commented on this, and I'm going to read your name and your comments whenever we start talking to this man, Don Nelson. We're going to be talking to him in just a minute, but I'm so happy that so many of you remember him, and he'll be so happy that you remember him, and because he feels like maybe everybody forgot who he was, but no, he doesn't care. But anyway, I can't wait to tell him that the first text I got was a person saying, "Is this our own Captain Don? Do you remember Captain Don?" You don't remember Captain Don, but Captain Don was a guy that dressed up in a spacesuit, and he had a robot. And Cadet Don, not Captain, Cadet Don.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Okay, good. Okay. You don't know. And he had a robot, and this robot looked like the one from Forbidden, Island or whatever it was.
Lost in Space?
No, the one that was the movie that was Robbie the Robot. But anyway, he had a robot, and he had, it was a kiddie show. And he went to Hollywood. He left in 1968, so it wasn't Don Nelson. But he left in 1968 and went to become an actor. And his son becomes the actor and starred in Witch Mountain. Did you ever see Witch Mountain?
Which one?
Well, the first one.
There's like several.
I know, the first one. Okay,
Maybe
the first
I
one
saw it.
was the boy. That was his son. So anyway, he's the one that became the star, and he did other movies. But anyway, so it wasn't Cadet Don. It's not Cadet Don. It is Don Nelson. And he was the Good Morning Houston host with Jan Glen. And then he did news. But you got to find out how Channel 13 chose him to be on the station. It's mind-boggling. So anytime you feel like you're giving up because you can't get on a TV station, just listen to the way Don got on the station. And so we're going to go to a break right now, and we'll be right back. And Don's getting ready, and he's going to be on the phone. Don Nelson will be with us in just a minute. You're listening to The Cindy Cochran Show, Real Reality Radio.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
Lone Star Boxer Rescue is a nonprofit organization serving Montgomery County and surrounding areas, dedicated to the health and well-being of the boxer breed. Lone Star Boxer Rescue is run and managed 100% by volunteers since 1999. Our main objective is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome boxers that come to us from many sources, including local animal shelters, owner surrenders, and strays. For more information about Lone Star Boxer Rescue, visit our website at lsbr.org.
And you're back on the Cindy Cochran Show, and we're going to be talking to Don Nelson. And Don, are you there?
Hello, is this Cindy?
Yes, it is. Is this Don?
Let me check. Yeah.
Okay, it's
That's
Don.
that name tag. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you? It seems like
Very
just
well.
it just seems like minutes since we've talked.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't talked to you in so much in like 20 years, and all of a sudden we've just been talking and talking. And so, did you get my last text I sent you?
No, I was. I forget what I was. I have to be told what I'm doing. No, what did you say?
No, I just said don't.
You told me not to be afraid or not to worry.
Yes, not too nervous. It wasn't going to hurt a bit. And
You never lost a guest, right?
never. They never came back sometimes, but I didn't think I lost them. But I got to tell you, I don't know if are you listening, or is Margaret listening to this live?
No, Margaret left the building. Kind of like Elvis.
She said, I don't want to be a part of this.
She's still upset. You didn't have somebody on that was the last person to date Elvis or something?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Margaret thinks she was, but, you know.
Oh, Margaret thought she was the last one that dated Elvis?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to bring that up to Mindy, because Mindy got all kind of backlash because I said this is Elvis' last girlfriend, and he had about maybe 2 or 3 after that. And she said, no, I was one of his last girlfriends, so I didn't say it right.
Yeah.
And,
wow, there you go.
and so
no, she's not here. She's not here.
Okay.
But Margaret, Margaret was one of my producers, or the producers of Good Morning Houston back, God, I don't know, in the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And then,
And she talked in your ear the whole time, right?
She would yell in my ear in the earpiece. Now she's married to me. She just yells right in my face.
Right in your hearing aid. I understand.
Yeah. She goes, this isn't working. Come on. No, it's really weird, but we ended up together, and it's been great. We've been, we've been together for 10 years now, so it's really fun.
I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So anyway, I just want to quickly, I want to show you what people were saying about you that were texting me. Now, the first person that said, "Is this our own cadet Don?" And I explained to them, no,
oh, yeah.
Don left way before you. But I remember going back in the back of the big studio where they had all the props and everything, and they still had the robot and the stuff from his show. It was kind of sad.
I think the robot's still there. Robot's still there. and I found a couple of helmets that they had too.
Yes. Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, so I explained to her all that, and then I had Jeannie Turner who said, "Oh, that's so cool," and Teresa White Osborne said, "He was my favorite. Now his son is an agent for Affleck in my region." Is that true?
Well, my son is what do I call him?
Don't call him that.
No. He's actually an Affleck agent, but he's a lot of other things too. So, and he and his wife live in Florida right now. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been a while since
he was in Costa Rica for a long time, and then he was in Italy, and I call him the Gypsy Apprentice. So
do you go visit him?
I think it's my turn. Yeah.
You got to go over there. Christmas, and that's great. Debbie Herring said, "Not only is he the funniest, but also the nicest, most thoughtful person." A lot of exclamation points past that. Do you know Debbie Herring?
Oh, wow, that's pretty complimentary. No, well, you know what? Here's the thing. I happen to be part of an era of television when, there was a lot of new things. Well, I guess it's ongoing. It evolves. But at that time, we had a live studio audience.
Right.
The town itself, I got here in 1975, and I worked all the way till 2015. And in the early days, 75, everyone else was getting here. Much like they are today, I would assume. But, I was part of a new wave of people moving in. Neighborhoods were springing up everywhere. So I used to say this is the largest small town I've ever been in, because as big as Houston was, it had that kind of feel to it.
Yes, it did. It did. You're right. You're right, because I grew up in Houston, but you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm. And, you could go anywhere, and and then sort of, it was going through a cycle where what was old was starting to shut down, much like today, and then there were new things. So, it's just, but at the time I was here, I had a great, we had such a good time. We had a great time.
It was perfect. And then Roseanne Anderson McDaniel said, "Wow, you just brought back a flood of memories through my brain. This show is where I first saw and met you." Now she's talking about me. I don't know how I got in the conversation. "So long ago, I was in the audience as a contestant on some game they played. And then you came in and signed 'I Feel the Earth Move Under My Feet.' And I just can't forget that song." So she didn't talk about you anymore. But anyway, then Charles Perkins said, "I do remember him." So see, people do remember you, Don. It's amazing. It wasn't that long ago. It seems like, it was a long time ago.
I'll go to the grocery store, and there'll be a woman probably in her mid-60s, and she'll have her granddaughter with her, and she'll go, "Oh, honey, look, guess who that is?" And the little girl goes, "Who?" Yeah, that's Don Who.
Well,
it doesn't take long for people to go. Yeah. Or here's what happens: people will say, you know, you used to be somebody? Well, I forget. Or here's my favorite one. Wait, excuse me, sir. What's your name? John Nelson. No, that's not it. No, please help me out with this. You know, I've been getting it wrong here for 70 plus years or so. What is it then?
Well, you have a lot of fans, and one I know that is a real fan of yours that came on the show, I think several times, but Don Wilson, which I called him Don Nelson for the longest time. Don Wilson came on the show in '76 or something like that, and he was the one that got the last letter that Elvis Presley wrote, because Elvis Presley kind of helped him and took him under his wing, and he came to Graceland, stayed with him. His family was all killed in a car crash, and so he lived in Houston. But when Elvis found out, Elvis knew his dad, and then brought him to Graceland, and they just, bonded. And he knows so many people, and he took pictures of all of us. And he took a picture with me standing there, and I was pregnant with Chad, and he sent it to me and said, "Are you the same Cindy Cochran?" And I went, "Yes." And he had a picture of Betty and Paul and everybody.
Wow.
And he has a picture with you, but he couldn't find it because he wanted to send it to me and show you what you used to look like. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that you thought nobody remembered you. And 40 people have commented on you being on today. So you've doubled our audience, and I just want to thank you so much.
Good. Wow.
It's so great.
It's like Rupert Pupkin.
And you can go brag to all your friends. It's okay. But anyway, I told people that they would not believe how you actually were chosen to be at Channel 13. So could you share that?
Very intense. I had to take a lot of paperwork, a lot of intense. I had to fill out tests and psychological. It makes me even wince when I think about it. Well, actually, that's not exactly what happened.
No, not exactly. They just ask you, could you get along with Marvin Sindler? That's all they ask you. No, go ahead.
Well, that's how I got my job, really, to be honest with you. Marvin Sindler was in, I'll do the story. Now, this is for the 41st listener, because everyone else has heard it 10 times. Okay, so I crossed over from radio. I was working at a rock station in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and anybody that worked at the radio stations there usually ended up with a part-time job at a local TV station to run the audio board. And so that's what I was doing. I was working the audio board. Well, then they had an afternoon. It was almost like, I don't know if people remember, Johnny Carson used to do that tea time movie skit. And, he would, run a second or two of the movie, and then they'd start doing all the prizes and everything. Well, there was a guy there, and one day he didn't show up. I was running the audio board for Dialing for Dollars in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he doesn't show up, And so they come into the book and say, "Do you ever think about doing this?" And I go, "Well, you want the truth?" No, not really. They said, "Well, why don't you think about it?" And well, the next day they said, "Well, apparently so and so is done. They fired him or something. I don't know what the reason was." And so they told me, said, "Well, that's like Friday." They said, "Come back Monday, and you're going to be out there instead of in here, and you'll make calls."
Word.
We chop the phone book up, and you'll dial a number, and it'll be the count me amount, and you'll hand out some. And so I go home, and I go, I can't believe what just happened. So I go to work on Monday, and I'm on the air, and and I'm on TV, and I'm going, what has happened here? Well, anyway, I was there doing that, and then they made me do the weekend weather, which in Albuquerque was great because the sun shines 365 days a year.
Right.
Here you go. Well, it's time for the weather. Another great day. It's almost like the comedy.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it was like Anchorman. It was really
Anchorman, that was right.
Yeah. anyway, so I was doing that for the longest time, and I was enjoying living there and everything, and never gave it. Well, then I get a phone call one time, and it's Marvin. You know, he's in there writing his memoirs. You know, the many faces of or somebody. And he was in Albuquerque with his co-writer.
The many faces.
Says,
wait.
From Houston.
Wait, you have to explain the many faces of Marvin Sindler. Explain to everybody.
I think he wrote a couple of books.
Well,
I think one was titled "The Many Faces" because you know he openly bragged that he had more face surgeries than the industry had ever thought they were going to do. You know, he had the bulk of them.
And he had pictures.
He would come to work and he'd look at your chin and he'd go, you ought to take a look at that. That could be up another inch or down or off to the side or whatever. You know.
But he had pictures of himself. He showed these to everybody. I said, aren't you supposed to keep that a secret and make it look like you're just naturally young?
Oh, no.
He said, no.
We used to tease him, and he used to tease us back, too. Anyway, he called, and he says, I'm from Houston, and we're at the ABC station there, and we're looking for somebody that I think you'd be perfect. And this is like, I said, really? He says, yeah, and he says, here's the address. Send him a tape. And Jim Masucci was the guy.
Masucci, yeah, that's right.
And so I didn't have it, because that wasn't even in my mind that I was ever going to leave there. So I had collected all the crazy things that I'd ever done. On Easter, one time I was doing the weekend news on Easter Sunday, and I came out dressed as a rabbit, and I said, I ordered the Easter outfits in the catalog, and this is what they ended up sending me. So I'm on the edge of the Anchorman there just looking at me like, what is wrong with him? So, and then Halloween, I was Frankenstein, and then, I did all this, silly things, because I think coming from radio, I didn't quite have the respect I think you should have had for the segue that I went into. You're TV now. You must be serious.
That's right.
Anyway,
that's
so
true.
I put all this stuff. I put this crazy, insane thing only out of a courtesy because they'd asked for it. But on the second hand, I wanted to make sure that I'd never get a return phone call because no one's going to hire. And so I sent it, and then I'm in the audio booth, and one day working, and this. The light goes on, it's kind of red, flashes, and I pick up the phone and they go, this is Jamie Succi from, KTRK. And we'd like you to come down and talk personally. I said, really? Yeah. We got your tape, and we'd like to discuss something with you. Well, we'd like to meet you. So, I don't even think I owned a suit. I had a couple since I started working there. They made me.
Oh, that's right.
So I go and then it was for the day. So I literally fly down, get off the plane. I rip my pants. Everything that could happen. I split my pants. I go to have lunch with Jim Masucci, and he says, "Well, then here it comes." So he's looking at me and all this kind of stuff, and he goes, "Well, we have several other people to interview, and but we wanted to include you, and if we decide, we'll get in touch with you." So that's like the kiss off. Thinking, "Oh, this is good. I'm done. I'm going back home." So I get back up on the plane. I tell my wife at the time. She goes, "What do you think?" I said, no, you should have heard it. I said, "There was a kiss off. I'm done." Well, 2 weeks later, the phone rings again. "You got a pencil?" And I go, "Yeah."
Oh.
"Well, we'd like to start you on this, and then in 6 months we'll give you this, and a year of this, and we want to do a 3-year contract." Blah, 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 blah. And I go, "Oh my God!"
Like this is real.
This is why I never speak to schools at career day, because it just shatters their all their efforts going to college and majoring in journalism. How did you get where you are today, sir? Well, I had a rabbit suit and I had no sense. And they said, "Well, there's the one way to do it." And so anyway, that's how it started. And I got here. Well, this place in 1975. Houston was I mean, I couldn't believe I was getting paid. The station. Here was what it was. I used to say there was pre-HR and post-HR.
Yes.
And human resources, pre-HR. I mean, listen, and believe me, there was reason why there was an HR and afterwards.
Because that was way too much fun. Yeah.
But the women I worked with back then, they didn't take anything. They were tough,
Uh-huh.
You got out of line. You didn't have to worry about getting called in anybody's office. You'd end up on the floor, But you know what? Here's the thing I would say, and I would assume that the same crowd there today says the same thing about themselves. But there was a lot more single people back then than there are. You seem like there's more married people working in TV now with families and stuff. Back then, it was like most everybody was single.
Mm-hmm.
So they worked, everybody worked endless hours depending on the circumstances. And then they would play hard, so it was work hard, play hard. And I felt like it was part of a club, like KTRK against the other stations, we were our own organization.
Sure.
And, I had the greatest time. That was also a time when TV was changing, we had dialing for dollars and, oh my God, that was a live studio audience, and they would come in and sit down with these tables that were on risers, and the only thing we gave them was complimentary warm Dr. Pepper. I said,
that's all they got. You're
Remember?
right. Yes, you're right.
And maybe some cookies. I forget what it was. And then we had fashion shows, and they had a runway, and oh my God, it was one time. A convention of women authors, the women's penmanship or something came into town. Very sophisticated, very, very dry, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, a tattoo convention show came into town, and this is back in the early '80s, the late '70s, because they went to Good Morning Houston in '78.
Right.
And so I think, well, this would be a great idea. So I booked a tattoo fashion show because we had a runway, and I think this will be hysterical. Well, what made me think these are going to be professional models? I have no idea.
They just got off their bikes.
I should have heard the report. And these big bruiser guys and these really, these women that were, had tats everywhere. Now it's like, now if you don't have one, you look out of place,
Right, you're right.
And they had like these little suggestive things written on them, and then they had, and so I got the music, Got You Under My Skin, and that was what I told
Perfect.
Yeah. And I sat there, and I had somebody there who was with them, was a commentator. I said, our first model is, Bruiser Kowalski. He comes walking out, and he's, tatted up. And then they would tan the audience, and these women looked like they were in shock. They were like, huh? And I was crying. I was laughing, sorry, I was crying.
But now they had to have taken off enough clothes to be able to see the tattoos. Were they scantily dressed?
Oh, no, guy. One big 300-pound guy ripped his shirt off. I'm going like... we should have had a snare drum, needed a baboon, One other, now I got one other story about something like that, and that had to do with John Whirler, who was the zoo curator back in that time frame.
Yes.
And John, we always, it was like every show. At today's show, everybody had the zoo guy come on and bring animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was, part of the deal. So one time John's there, and they brought a wallaby, which is like a little kangaroo.
Uh-huh.
And John, he gets it out of that little portable cage, and he's got it he's holding it up against him, right?
Uh-huh.
And this thing is squirming around, and all this stuff, and where everybody's laughing, and I'm going, boy, he's really frisky. I said, John, why don't you put him down, let him hop around a little? He goes, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea. I said, yeah, he'll be happy. No, you don't want to do that. And so I said, well, we'll take a little break. We'll come back in a minute, blah, 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 blah. We go to break. John calls his assistant over. John hands him the wallaby that had gone to the bathroom, and I mean the bathroom, not just tinkle.
Number 2.
I mean,
oh, no.
He went full tilt. And John was covered from the knot in his tie to his kneecap.
Oh,
And I said, boy, would I like to be the lady that opens up the dry cleaners tomorrow morning when you're walking in with your bag, you know. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Can I get, yeah, John said, can I get one day on this and pre-spot it for wallaby manure, you know? Yeah, I don't
Poor
mind.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what was always the thing every time they'd bring an animal out. We watched it because you were waiting and wanting something to happen just like that.
Oh, God.
And it was,
Oh, man.
so there's,
And then when Good Morning Houston came out here, Jan, she loved animals.
yes.
She couldn't keep her hands out of their face, and she'd wear this cherry red nail polish. One time, she's just going, look at the little chimpanzee, blah, blah, blah. And this thing took a hunk out of her finger. And then a little donkey, a toy donkey did the same thing to her. So I said, you might want to not put your hand in their mouth with that nail polish, you know. So,
Boy, that's good.
anyway.
That's good. And that's what I was going to whenever Jan came along. Now, you started without Jan. You were working with Paul
I was
and
with,
Betty.
Well, what happened was, Bob Hilton was his name. And
Right.
the reason I got hired was we were about the same height and our hair looked similar. I mean, that was Marvin's thought. Well, heck, they're about the same height. You know, I mean, let's just go with what we got here. That way, no one will miss Bob leaving. You know, it'll be this guy's about.
No, they'll think it's the same person. Yeah.
They'll say, "What has Bob done to himself?" Anyway, Bob went to Boston. Don comes in, and I got to where Betty Rogers was there, and Paul Schmidt. And Paul Schmidt was part of an era in Houston, the Houston Cork Club. He was a piano player.
Right.
I don't know where you say piano player and pianist, where it all begins and ends, but nonetheless, he was really good. And he had played the Court Club with a woman also, Marietta Merrick, who was a singer. And it was all part of that early days of Houston back in the, 50s, 60s, 70s, up in there.
Yeah.
And so he was sort of like Ed McMahon was to Johnny, whatever. Well, when I come along, I'm the new kid. He's sort of like the head guy. And Betty Rogers, she was married to a guy who was an ad guy, and they loved to travel. And so Betty would do cooking segments, because her thought was there's a 2-day before payday recipe in every country. And she would come on in 5 minutes with 5 ingredients and make the most insane great food. I mean, I've collected all of it because I like to do the same thing.
Because you like, you're the cook.
I saved all of her stuff. All throughout the years. So, but they both had a dry sense of humor.
Yes. Yeah.
We did a thing. I forget. It was the food call or the prize thing. And anyway, there was a podium sitting there right in front of the audience. So the audience is in the background. And the podium's there with a phone on it, and then there's a big wheel in the background where you'd see the lights going when they dialed. And they would dial for a prize or something like that. Well, this woman had brought her 80-year-old mom with her to celebrate her birthday. And so we threw her name out of a hat. Mrs. Mary Smith, come on down. Well, Mary was sitting literally right behind the podium, right? So it was on a carpeted riser, about 9 inches.
Oh no!
So the camera's locked down to the shot because we didn't have enough people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all you see is I'm on one side, Paul's on the other. The camera's not moving. The lady stands up. Little old lady takes one step and vanishes. And she just.
Oh dear!
It's like they opened the floor up, and she went through the floor,
Oh,
and then what does Paul Schmidt say? Watch that first step. And I'm going like, what? We're gonna be in a lawsuit. I mean, it was unreal. And then what really was insane. We took a break, dusted her off, stood her up. She was a sweetheart. Took it like, whatever. And then she does a dial and she loses on the first dial. And I go, you got to be kidding.
That's not right.
So, the assistant, I can't think of her name right now, but she dialed her up and she got beat out of like a ballpoint pen or something. It was ridiculous.
Well,
so,
I have to tell the story that when I pranked you, I had taken off with my pregnancy leave. In fact, I think it was Walter, the news guy, who was the manager of the news department. Walt something. Anyway, he said, somebody tell Cindy it's time for her to go home and wait for the baby to come because she's gotten too big. And so I did. I went home and it was going to be like any minute now. And so I'm watching y'all on TV. I'm laying in bed watching you on TV. And you go over and say, I'm going to call Cindy Cochran and see how she's doing. So you dial my number and it rings and I pick up the phone and go, oh my God, the pains are coming. There's 2 minutes apart. Somebody help me. and the look on your face and you looking around like, who'd somebody do something with this? What am I going to do with her?
I should have yelled, somebody run down and tell Walt Hauber her water broke.
He was right. Not to keep her here, but it was just so much fun with y'all, and it was such a great. You're right. It was such a great time to be in television because you didn't have any competition really, because Channel 13 was number one, and wherever you went, you were recognized because everybody watched it.
I mean, and nowadays, things have changed so drastic. I mean, I part of me gets what's going on, and the other part is kind of glad I'm before that. And
oh, right.
I'd have been probably, well, not me personally, but I think most of us would have been in the HR office every day, and we would have been canceled.
If I had reported what a lot of those guys did, it would have been, because those guys were so crazy, especially up in the booth, with Kennedy and all those guys. And I thought they were drinking water. It wasn't water they were drinking. I don't want to spread any rumors, but it was.
I heard the orange juice was a little tasty. Yeah, I mean,
it was terrible, but everybody knew.
It had a lot of pulp. It had a lot of pulp in it, I think.
Yes. But it was so great, and because you were so recognized, Sam would just get so upset because we go out to dinner and these ladies would come over and go like, "Is this Mr. Cindy Cochran?" And he'd go, "Yes, thank you." And
let me tell you, oh God,
go ahead.
That's so funny. Well, I was going to tell you, you made me think something going out to places. That first year I'm there, February. I got there, November '75. So here it is, February. It's time for the rodeo. Well, I didn't have the proper attire. So Charlie Wolf. This is back. Charlie Wolf was doing PR and all. He was doing promos and all this thing. And so they give me. He said, "You need to go buy an outfit." And he says, here's $150. Go get yourself a pair of boots and some shirt and jeans and a belt and, whatever, and a hat. I go, okay. So I think there was a place on Westheimer called Cutter Bill's for those people.
Yes.
One of the 40 of you listening that, remembers Cutter Bill's, it was the quintessential Western store. I mean, it had everything. So I go in there with everything, and the guy comes over, and I had a pretty big foot and everything, and he says, so he puts a pair of these elephant boots on me, and man, they were just comfortable. You could wear, they were like winter gloves. You could wear them. They were so nice. And then I got a pair of jeans, and they look pretty good, and a belt, nice leather belt with a buckle.
Oh, with a buckle.
And,
okay.
Yeah. And then I go over and they pick out a hat for me and everything. And thank God they didn't steam it, So I go, well, this is all I probably need, right? He goes, yeah, that'll get you by. And I said, okay, well, let's see where we are here. How much are the boots? He goes, they're $750. I said, the jeans? He goes, oh, those are only about $30. How about the belt? Belt's $300. That's on sale. And the buckle? That's $200 because it's got some inlay in it. And I said, the hat? He goes, that's a 4X. That's about $100 and a half, somewhere in there. I go, okay. So
I'll take that.
I get on I say, can I borrow your phone? Because, well, that was back before phones, right?
Yes.
Charlie, I said, have you ever bought a Western outfit? And he goes, well, not really. He goes, do you know what $150 will get me? I said, and that's if I went to the resale shop in somewhere, I said, they don't really have anything. Anyway, long story short, I added some money, obviously, and I walked out of Cutter Bill's with a tail between my legs, and I went to some other little tiny store and got just ordinary leather, calf leather, I think there were ropers in or something, a pair of jeans, an ordinary belt, and a hat that they could. It was just barely enough beaver in it to steam, and I said that on and it was still over $200, and it was so funny because we did the parade.
Well, when exactly. And when you said $150, he gave you $150. I'm going like, well, see, it was back in the 70s, but I don't think it was far enough back for you to be able to buy anything. Oh,
really?
Grief.
So that was funny because and then you go to the rodeo, and then those people they start recognizing you from TV, and they want to poke you and see if you were a real person or just somebody that was. It was something. Wow, that's too much.
Well, I think that there were so many events that I got to be a part of, I guess because I'd been there so long. And they said, okay, we're going to go do a arm wrestling thing, and you're going to be against one of the people from Channel 2, and Marvin Zindler's going to be doing this with Hoffines. And so there's going to be, so you have to arm wrestle. And I went, well, you sure? I said, that's an older woman. Are you sure I'm not going to hurt her? And they went, no, go ahead. It's going to be so much fun. And I went up there, and I know I had to be stronger than this woman. And she just took me down so fast. And I kept saying, don't hurt my hands. That's my everything, my hands. And it didn't matter. She took me down. And those kind of events would be so fun because people were, the mall was everywhere. And Elma Barrera was there. And I was standing there talking to Elma. And this kid came up and asked, could I please have your autograph to Elma? And she goes, I don't do autographs. And I told Elma, I said, man, you know how hard that was for that kid to even come up and ask you something? And you say it like that? She says, no, I'm not a star or anything. I'm not giving out autographs. And I went, Elma, that's terrible. And so because she wanted to feel like, it's not all about me. It's all about the people and being a reporter. And I'm telling you that the people in Houston really thought you were somebody, because if you were on Channel 13, or Channel 2 even, Channel 2, but they were more for the hoity-toity group. I don't know why, and their programming or whatever. But 13 had everybody. Everybody loved everybody.
Well, I think the station itself. I used to say I go to a gala to MC the gala, and the chairperson didn't know me from squat, but the guy parking the car knew everything about me.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
And I felt more comfortable with him than I did with the gala. Both of which. It's an interesting thing. I tell people, I said, it was a privilege to have that kind of personal relationship, even though it was in another dimension, because you got to realize, I used to be able to go in the neighborhoods that nobody else, a lot of people wouldn't dare think of going into, because when they first saw me or anyone on TV, it was always through the TV. So it was in a non-threatening circumstance. So the familiarity started early. So when they'd run into you, they felt like they already knew you, And so
Of
that
course.
gave me such a wide range. Oh man, I used to go all kinds of crazy places, to eat lunch or
Yeah.
excuse me. Anyway, I was going to tell you. Speaking of one more story about the rodeo, I just thought of right now. One of the biggest jokes is the goat committee at the rodeo, right?
Uh-huh. There's a goat. There's a goat committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they called up the local celebrities, and you had to get in a competition where you'd milk a goat, right? And so I go down there, and I forget who else was there. I think that's how far back I go. Dominique was doing traffic.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And you talk about what a few years does to somebody, and so anyway, we get there, and they have everybody milking and squirting in these buckets, and then they sit me down, and for some reason they were trying to get. They said, "Hang on, this thing is a little crazy." Well, I get the bucket under there, and I'm not even looking. They had to sit me down. They said, "No, just reach under there. You've seen people do it. Now you can do it." Well, it was a male goat.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was. It was. I reached, and because they had an angle so I couldn't see from the back, so I'm just looking at the head. And I put my hand in there, and I went, "Boy, did you just get, and those guys, the whole committee, they laughed so hard they were crying for about 20 minutes.
And they knew it. They knew that you had they gave you milk.
Oh my! They just that was their big trick.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Oh
But,
my! That's
and then
gross.
Another thing. What was the other thing we did one time that I thought was? We used to go to Astroworld, and then Astroworld.
Yes.
Astroworld got the big what was it? A river ride with the big log kind of thing,
Yeah.
But this was even bigger, and you sat in. It was like a circle, and you'd go all around this thing, and it was like a roller coaster with water, basically. And we got invited to go over there before the park opened, and they let us go down in this thing in rubber rafts. Oh,
I remember.
It was like going to Colorado. It was fun.
It was so amazing, and I remember the roller coaster. That it wasn't the roller coaster. It was the thing that went upside down. It'd go around and around, then go upside down. And we rode that, and that was the first time they'd opened that. And I didn't realize. I go like, okay, have you tested this? Has been tested, right? And they go like, oh yeah, this is no problem at all. But you really felt like you're gonna die. You're gonna die. It was great though. It was so much fun to be the first ones into Astroworld. Yes. That was cool.
When they closed that, it was something. So
it was.
Really, but and then the other thing too is like as people started to move in, well, they're coming from all over the world, And back in the '80s, that's also when the Vietnamese boat people were showing up, right? It's like Kim Son.
Oh yeah.
That's when they started showing up everywhere. And they would. I'd never been around the kind of food and things like that. Or I'm trying to think of a couple other places, but we'd get the opportunity, and everybody would. Oh, I remember. Here's the thing. We booked a cooking segment, but it was sushi. That's just when it first got here, when no one was paying attention, right?
Right.
And so they bring it on. And here you need to cruise it. Oh, there's stuff. That stuff not. How are you going to cook that? You're going to put it in the microwave? What are you going to do with that? You need a microwave on the set? I said, no. I think this is the way this is going to be eaten. I'm pretty sure. And so, Jen wasn't too fond of it. A couple other, I forget who else was there, but I was outstanding. I said, this is pretty good. And then my friends were calling it cut bait. They were going, "You're not going to eat that cut bait anymore on television. You need to fry that stuff." And I'm going, God.
Well,
but
you made.
Remember,
you made this chili pepper soup. I think it was a soup.
Yeah.
It was a soup,
from Albuquerque.
From Albuquerque. Green chili soup was the hottest soup in the whole wide world. Now, I didn't know from anything about peppers or anything.
Yeah.
But you made it, and you said, "Hey, Cindy, come over here and taste this." And you gave me a spoonful of that stuff, and I thought I would never feel my tongue ever again. That was it. My whole mouth was just gonna, go away because it was burned so bad. I couldn't feel anything, and so I thought, that was really mean. And I thought you were just trying to pay me back for the bacon spaghetti I made, and y'all were over at the house, and I said, "Don, just taste this."
I remember that.
And you spit it all the way across the kitchen to the refrigerator. And I was like, "Don," he goes, "that's the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted." And it was just, it hurt my feelings. But I wasn't Italian. I remember you were Italian. I mean, you still are. But being Italian, you had such a sensitive you had such a great taste. The taste buds you had were amazing. And you would cook. And I want to tell you what I've remembered all these years. I don't know how many years ago it was, but it had to be over 40 years, that you told me you were making a salad, and you said, and I was cutting up the lettuce, and you said, "Don't ever cut lettuce with a knife. It'll all go brown. So you just tear it. You have to tear it." And that's the only thing I remember about your cooking was how to tear up lettuce, never use a knife. So I want to thank you for that. I never forgot it.
Well, it's those. Now it seems so. It's not a big thing anymore because now you can buy a whole kit. When the kits first came out,
Yeah.
I was at the grocery store going, "Are you kidding me? They could put a salad kit. I mean, it costs and it says you take this little package and you add it to the lettuce and you take the little tomato. You got to be kidding me." But then you know what? They made me a convert because. We didn't have family of 10, so
right.
A lot of your produce would go bad. And so I started seeing the value of having a
Sam would
bag
say,
where you wouldn't waste it. Yeah, you wouldn't waste it.
Sam would say, "You're not going to." I'm sorry, what?
No, I was just going to say, getting back to the days when you were there. I mean, oh my God, when what was it? You were trying to teach me how to spell and sign language. Oh God, it was. Oh my God!
Don't even go there. Don't stop.
I know.
I got 2 minutes left, and I wanted to thank you about being so sweet. So don't you go there. Everybody's going to be going, "What did you teach him to spell?" It was. Don't even. Now, see, I'm going to have to explain that.
And I told you because I'd never seen anything like that. Signing with the news.
Yes.
A little thing. But when Saturday Night Live brought on the guy for the hard of hearing, and he's yelling in the circle, "The top story tonight," I started laughing. The first night it came on, I went.
Everybody thought that's what I was going to do. They saw that first. SNL did that. And when I went on, they said, "I thought for sure you were going to start yelling, repeating everything you said and yelling." And I thought, no, that's not sign language. So it was so bad. But Don, I have to wrap this up. And I didn't even get to the part where y'all told me go out in the audience and do an interview because you want to try and start using. I don't think you may not have been there yet, but you want to start using me instead of just doing the sign language. So my first time to go out there, and I started to interview one of the audience members, and I said, "So how are you doing today?" And I've got the mic in front of her as I say, "So how are you doing today?" And then I put the mic in front of me and said. And she's talking and saying, "I'm doing great," but you can't hear anything. So then I've got the mic, formation just totally opposite. And then that's how I started. And they said, "Cindy,
Are you
go back to
playing the
signing."
organ while you're talking at the same time?
No, oh no, we're going out. That's our music to get out of here.
Oh, I thought you were playing the organ too. I said, that's pretty talented.
Don Nelson, everybody. Thank you, Don Nelson. You were amazing. Thank you. That hour went by so fast. All right, love you. Tell your wife bye-bye.
Love you too.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.